I still had the keys to the house I'd poured 6 years of my life into when that thick envelope showed up. Legal documents stamped across the front, my name typed in bold, like a final notice. My hand shook as I dialed my dad. He didn't even let me finish. That house was meant for your sister. My name is Emily Carter, and in that moment I thought those words would destroy me. I was wrong. What came next? The courtroom battles, the twisted stories, the day my own family picked a side, shattered everything. I didn't just lose a house that day. I watched the people who raised me try to erase me completely. Stay with me. Drop a quick comment and tell me where you're reading this right now. Curled up in bed, sipping coffee at the kitchen table, or hiding in your car for 5 minutes of peace. Echoes of Life is so glad you're here. Let's keep going. I grew up in a home where fair was just something we said to company. My father, Marcus, ruled like a king handing down laws. My mother, Rose, smoothed the sharp edges with sweet words that always came with a side of guilt. And my little sister, Claire, she drifted through life on a cloud like the rules never applied to her. She never heard no. I did every single day. So I learned to stay quiet. I worked hard. While Claire bounced between art classes and weekend getaways, I sat in front of my laptop until my eyes burned. No vacations. No new clothes. Every raise, every overtime check, every homemade sandwich instead of takeout. It all went into one goal. A place that was truly mine. 6 years later, I finally held the keys to a cozy 2-story house on a tree-lined street in a quiet neighborhood outside Charlotte, North Carolina. It wasn't fancy, but every brick belonged to me. I had earned it. The night I told my parents, Mom lit candles like it was a holiday. "We're so proud of you, honey," she smiled. Dad gave his short nod of approval. "Good investment," he said like he was talking about stock. Then Claire, leaning against the counter with her iced coffee, muttered, "Must be nice having that big tech paycheck. Some of us are still drowning in student loans." The air turned cold. I ignored it. I had learned to ignore a lot. 3 days after I moved in, I was sitting on the floor surrounded by boxes when my phone started blowing up. I thought it was friends congratulating me. It wasn't. My best friend Mia sent a screenshot. Claire had posted publicly, "When your older sister takes the down payment money grandma left for your first house and buys one for herself instead, pensive face, broken heart." Hundreds of likes. Strangers calling me a thief. A monster. My heart stopped. There was never any special money for Claire. Grandma split everything equally years ago. This was a complete lie. Before I could even process it, Dad called. His voice was ice. "We need to talk about the house." Mom chimed in softly behind him. "You know exactly what this is about, sweetheart," I whispered. "There was never any special fund. I bought this with my own money." Silence. Then Dad said the sentence that still echoes in my head. "That house belongs to your sister." I slid down the wall, phone pressed to my ear. "Dad, I worked 6 years for this. You can always buy another one," he snapped. "Claire needs it more. We're filing papers tomorrow." Click. The call ended. That night I packed an overnight bag, locked my own front door like a stranger, and drove to Mia's house in tears. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Mia poured tea I never drank. Her husband Alex came in later, face serious. "Emily, they're gearing up for a real fight. You need a lawyer who eats family lawsuits for breakfast." I didn't sleep. By morning, fear had turned into something colder, clarity. I wasn't just scared of losing the house anymore. I was terrified of finally seeing who my family really was. And trust me, the worst was still coming. If this happened to you, what would you do? Type 1 if you'd stay quiet to keep the peace. Type 2 if you'd fight, no matter who stood on the other side. Echoes of Life is reading every comment. The next morning I couldn't bring myself to go back to the house they now claimed wasn't mine. Alex showed up early with a folder, and the name of an attorney who specialized in exactly this kind of mess. Her name was Victoria Hale. We met her that afternoon in a calm downtown office with big windows and plants everywhere. She listened without blinking while I told her everything. Claire's viral post, my parents on speakerphone, Dad's chilling words. "That house belongs to your sister." Victoria tapped her pen once. "Their legal claim is paper thin, but thin claims still bleed you dry if you're not ready. We fight with proof." She looked me straight in the eye. "Who else heard your grandmother say the inheritance was split equally?" I swallowed. My Uncle Richard and Aunt Marlene. Call them. Today. Uncle Richard picked up on the first ring. Sweetheart, your grandmother was crystal clear, everything 50-50. No secret promises. Your dad tried to pressure her into changing it years ago. She shut him down. Aunt Marlene started crying on the phone. Your grandparents never wanted this fight. Your dad's been telling Claire for years the money was hers alone. That's why she believes it. This isn't about you, Emily. It's about control. Hearing the truth out loud hurt worse than the lie. Because it meant my parents had been planting this story for years, long before I ever had a chance. And that was only the beginning of what they were willing to do in court. Keep scrolling, the next part will shock you. Part 4. The night someone tried to steal my house. You think you're ready for the worst, but the worst still finds a way to shock you. That night, Lauren and I pulled up to my quiet street in Charlotte, North Carolina. Most porch lights were off. The air felt thick, like it was holding its breath. Then we saw her. A figure at my front door, jiggling the handle, forcing a key that clearly didn't belong there. Harper! I yelled, my voice slicing through the dark. She whipped around, eyes wide, then narrowed with that familiar mix of defiance and entitlement. I just wanted to see inside, she snapped. By breaking in? She lifted her chin like she already owned the place. It's going to be mine anyway. Time stopped. Even the breeze felt like knives. Lauren's hand shook as she raised her phone to record. Harper froze. Don't you dare call anyone. Too late. My attorney, Vivian Brooks, didn't hesitate when I sent her the video. That's criminal trespass, she texted back. We now have evidence of intent. Something inside me hardened that night, cold, clear, unbreakable. If they wanted war, I was done playing nice. I stayed up until dawn at Lauren's kitchen table in Raleigh, spreading out bank records, pay stubs, wire transfers. 6 years of blood and overtime turned into neat, highlighted rows of proof. Every page felt like armor clicking into place. 2 days later, the Mecklenburg County Courthouse rose in front of me like a gray fortress. Vivian walked beside me, heels striking the pavement in perfect rhythm. Eyes forward, she said calmly. We're not here to cry. We're here to win with facts. I breathed in the cold March air and felt every scar of betrayal turn into steel. They were about to learn I wasn't the scared little sister anymore. Part 5. The courtroom where the truth finally spoke louder. The hallway smelled like old wood and disinfectant. My hands went numb from the chill. Vivian squeezed my arm. You've got this. The truth is on our side. Inside the courtroom, my family sat in a perfect row. Dad Marcus, 62. Rigid as a statue, Mom Rita, 59, ghostly pale Harper, 27, clutching her expensive bag like a shield. Not one of them looked at me. Judge Angela Ramirez entered, and the room went dead silent. Let's begin. Their lawyer, Mr. Greg Donovan, stood first with a smug smile. Your Honor, this is a simple family understanding about inheritance. An oral agreement my client's daughter Harper relied on. One that Ava deliberately broke. Oral. No paper trail. Just their word against mine. Classic. Vivian didn't blink. When Donovan sat, she rose slowly, voice calm and lethal. Your Honor, there is zero evidence of any agreement. The will was crystal clear. Equal shares. My client purchased her home in Charlotte with documented income from her own career. No gifts, no loans, no secret promises. Judge Ramirez nodded once. Continue. They called Dad to the stand first. Marcus Reed walked up like he was about to receive a medal. My younger daughter always needed more help, he said, voice booming. Ava knew the house was intended for Harper. Then Mom, twisting a tissue, voice trembling. We just wanted everything to be fair. Harper struggled more. Finally Harper. Tears perfectly timed, lip trembling. I really thought the house was mine. Ava knew that. It was a flawless act if you'd never met her. But Vivian was ready. Your Honor, we call Raymond Hale, the estate attorney who drafted the will. Ray took the stand, calm as ever. The will was equal. No side deals. No special provisions for anyone. Donovan tried to object. Ray didn't flinch. Then came Aunt Marlene on video from Florida. Marcus begged my sister to change the will and leave everything to Harper. Mom and Dad said no. He never got over it. You could feel the shift in the room. Mom stared at the floor. Harper swallowed hard. Vivian stood one last time, voice like ice. Your Honor, we must also address a recent attempted burglary at my client's home 2 nights ago. Caught on Ring camera and witnessed. The plaintiff, Harper Reed, was recorded trying to force entry, claiming the property was going to be mine anyway. Harper blurted. I wasn't breaking in. I just wanted to look inside. Judge Ramirez raised a hand. I've seen the footage and the neighbor's statement. Enough. The room held its breath. I have reviewed every document, the judge said, voice steady and final. There is no oral agreement. No inheritance violation. The home at 1427, Magnolia Lane was legally purchased by Ava Reed with her own earned income. This case is dismissed with prejudice. The plaintiffs may not refile. The gavel cracked like thunder. Mom gasped. Harper burst into dramatic tears. Dad stared at me with something dark and broken in his eyes. But I didn't look away. For the first time I stood taller than all of them. Part 6. The home and the life that finally belonged to me. We stepped outside the courthouse into bright Carolina sunlight. The air didn't feel lighter or happier. Just honest. Vivian gave my arm a proud squeeze. Facts won today. Lauren pulled me into a fierce hug. My friend Ethan stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets, smiling like he'd known I'd make it all along. No one owned my story anymore. No one got to decide my worth. That evening I walked back into my little house on Magnolia Lane like I was meeting it for the first time. I ran my hand along the banister I'd painted myself, touched the kitchen counter I'd saved 2 years to install, listened to the quiet walls that had waited patiently for me to come home to myself. I sat cross-legged on the living room floor with a mug of chamomile, bare feet against cool hardwood, letting the silence wrap around me like the softest blanket. Not the punishing silence I'd grown up with, but the kind that heals. My phone buzzed. 2 new voicemails from Mom. I didn't play them. Not from anger. From peace. When family treats love like a transaction, you're allowed to close the account. I opened every window and let the warm night air rush in. To anyone still fighting for their voice, their space, their truth, keep going. You don't have to shrink to keep the peace. You only have to stand up, and the ground will shift beneath you. Because I didn't just keep a house that day. I claimed the unbreakable right to take up space without apology. And as the last light faded over Charlotte, one quiet, fierce truth settled in my bones. I wasn't walking away from a family. I was finally walking toward myself. If this story moved you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear they're allowed to stand tall, and stay tuned to Echoes of Life for the next chapter. You never know whose life is about to change forever.